Hey, we're live.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. And it's been a little while since we've seen you guys, but here we are. Dad, Dave, and the elephant. Why don't you guys say hello?
Hey, Dad here, and it does seem like it's been what over a month since we've all gotten together. So hopefully we're not too stale.
Yeah. So, all right. And how about you, Mr. Norris? How you doing there?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Good. So, anyway, so thanks for all of you guys who are tuning in, watching. Looks like we've got our cast of regulars. We got Dan over in Macedonia, so it's always nice to see him on there. He actually cost me some money because I ended up purchasing a playmat for Elder Sign from Fantasy Flight Games that he had posted some pictures he was playing through. So that was actually kind of funny. So he's watching, and we've got Chris King is over there, and we'll see as the other people come trickling in. So anyways, let's talk about some games. What have you guys been playing? We'll start with, well, first of all, before we get into what we've been playing, the three of us did get a chance to play some games together. I had hosted a game day at my house a few weeks ago, so we all got some games in. It was nice to see those guys in person. I was hoping to do a live stream, but just things didn't work out. But anyways, we'll start. Tim the Dad, what have you been playing?
Well, let's talk about what we played on that game day. And I'm not going to talk about the one that's behind me because I'm going to save that for last. Because trust me, folks, playing with Tim Norris, that was phenomenal. This is one of his favorite movies. He loves the game. Yeah, I'm going to save that one. We played 13 Clues. Let's see. We had Power Grid going on. We had some Carcassonne. We had some Rivals for Catan. I think you guys played Concordia. A couple other ones. But that was a really good time. What I've been playing with my group over the last couple of days, if you've been following the Dad versus Daughter Facebook page, we've been playing The Expanse, and that's based on the TV show on the Sci-Fi Network. Now, I'm almost completed watching I've already finished the first season. I've got one episode left of the second season. It's been very good. I've really enjoyed it. I've taught the game now to 5-6 people, and we've really enjoyed it. Now, we haven't come close to even finishing the game over lunch. The box says 60 minutes. Yeah, I'm not seeing that happening. Probably not until you've got every card memorized.
I was going to ask you, what's the playing time clocking in on that, and what have you think of it so far?
I've really enjoyed it. Now, like I said, the box says 60 minutes. We've gotten through maybe 2 scoring rounds in 60 minutes, so about a third of the game. Even when we get a little bit more familiar, I don't think it's going to speed up that much. I'm looking at this as probably about an hour and 45, 2-hour game.
Okay.
I think the end game will come a little faster, but we've really been enjoying that. Trying to think what we've been playing the week before. San Juan. Played San Juan, I think, almost 3 days last week. So that's been really good. If you're familiar with Puerto Rico, you'd be very familiar with San Juan and vice versa. And trying to think what are my Wednesday night group. Oh, we played 1775 Revolution or something like that. So we really enjoyed that. And then we had a couple other people playing Clank in Space. So that's what we've been up to. Tim, what have you guys been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Dragonfire lately. Trying to get all that figured out. A lot of rules in that one. A lot of, I don't know, I guess you could almost say fiddly things about the game that can take a while to learn, but finally got that one down. Played El Dorado, which is a deck builder racing game, and I really enjoyed that one. I only played it once, and I'd really like to try that one again. I think you ended up purchasing that one, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah, I picked it up at Gen Con, and we actually played that this past weekend. Played it with my buddy Chris.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. And then we tried playing what was that? Alien Artifacts. I didn't enjoy that one a whole heck of a lot. Yeah, that one right there. That's pretty fun. But you know, I probably have to give it another whirl just because the rules were just so hard to figure out on that one, unfortunately. What else did we play? I'll be honest, I really can't think of anything. I haven't been playing a whole heck of a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
How about you, Dave?
Well, you talk about Concordia. That was your first play with that one.
Oh, yeah, we did play that one. I got a chance to play Concordia, and I really enjoyed that. It's a great, that was a great experience to be able to try that one out for the first time. I'd really like to play that one some more. Kind of a deal where, oh, hang on. I think Santa's here, guys. I got to go see Santa.
All
Sorry, Santa. I'll be right back.
He'll be right back. All right, so what I've been playing, well, the other day I had Azul show up, and I got a chance to play this, and man, this game is a lot of fun. It's super quick, and it's got a nice amount of player interaction in it because as you're selecting, you're trying to build this mosaic with all these different tiles, and what happens is you'll choose some from a factory, you pick some, and some will go in the middle, and essentially you're going to keep going around until all of the tiles are picked. But it gets to be a little nasty where you can hose your opponents because if they can't place them anywhere, then they go on the floor and they fall to the floor and you lose points. So that was kind of interesting. Another game that I got a chance to play couple times now is London, the second edition of London by Martin Wallace, and I got a chance to play this with Tim the dad, so I taught him to play the game. And Tim, you like this one, right?
Yeah, you taught me so well, I beat you.
Oh, he beat me so bad. One of the things in this game in London is you're building up a city, and you can show the cards right here. There's different types of cards that you can have, and you actually have these boroughs that you can get. And when you go to operate your city, different things happen. And one of the results is you take on poverty. Well, Tim did such a great job of managing his poverty. He had like none. Whereas I had a ton of poverty, and what happens at the end of the game is you lose points for the poverty that you have. Even after eliminating the stuff that he had, I still had 30 more. My points were in the negatives. That's how bad I played that one. But the game before, I did really, really well. So lots of replayability. That's my initial impression with that. And then
that was a good game, Dave. I'm glad you taught me that. In fact, that's now on my radar to pick up at some point. So thanks a lot.
Yeah. Sure thing. And then I played a bunch of stuff at TableCon, and then I played a bunch of things with Chris this past weekend. But another game that we got a chance to play was Pandemic Iberia. Now, I don't know if you guys are fans of the original Pandemic, but this game, Iberia, does a great job of improving on the original. And we played it, didn't really have an alpha gamer problem. You get a chance to build a rail system so you can move around a lot quicker. And the other thing is, since you don't eradicate a disease, you have to manage it, and you do that by like purifying water and doing different things. And you're trying to research different diseases, and that's how the game ends. Really, really enjoyed this one. I don't have the original Pandemic anymore. I actually had gotten rid of it because I got Iberia. So those are just the three of the games that we have been playing up here. So and then real quick, while we're waiting for Mr. Norris to get back, because Santa came to town in Indianapolis. He went out to go and run and see him. Another chance we got a chance to play, Tim, we were over at Chris Prather's house for the Thanksgiving Gaming Festival. So we got a chance to play New England. Why don't you talk about that one real quick? That's a good one.
Yeah, that's one that I picked up recently on a BGG trade, just on theme alone. Now, it's a very abstract tile laying game, but you do have pilgrims in the game. You've got little wooden meeples that represent your pilgrims and your barns and your ships, and you're placing these tiles down on the board, and you're trying to basically get these cards that you're going to be able to flip your tiles, and then you're going to score points based on the configuration that those tiles are in. But the really nice thing about it is when you're basically bidding for turn order, and that's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you want to be first, you can go from 1 to 10. The higher number is going to be the first player. But the rub there is that's how much you have to pay for a tile or a card. So unless you got a lot of money, you're not going to be able to go that high. But the other thing you get to do is you get to determine how many tiles you pull out of a bag, because you've got this little trade row, and you say, I'm going to take, 5 tiles out. Well, the spots that don't get filled with tiles then get filled with cards. And on the cards you have, like I said, the different scoring things. You have the pilgrims, the boats, and the barns. So looks like Tim Norris is back. He might have found Santa.
I saw Santa. Yeah.
Awesome.
He still knows you're naughty.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
So New England, that's kind of a little bit of an older game. You probably find it pretty cheap even on BGG or copies for trade. So if you're looking for kind of an abstract game, it's not great, but I found it to be enjoyable. I would say you probably want to, give that one a whirl. Trade it, get a copy of it, play it for a bit. It's kind of an underappreciated game, I think. All right, Tim, how was Santa?
Did you go and get it?
I did get it, actually, because you picked it up. I sought it out. I think I got it in a trade, or maybe I just picked it up off of BGG, off the marketplace. I can't remember. But I also have a copy. I really enjoyed it. All right. Mr. Norris, how was Santa?
He was amazing. Every year, the fire truck drives through our neighborhood, and Santa's in the passenger seat, and he waves to everybody. And
Nice.
I got a picture of him, and it's kind of hard to see, but that is here. I'll kind of like see. That's Santa right there. The actual real Santa, okay? Not the fake one. This is the real one, guys. This is a big deal.
So, all right. So anyway, so we just were finishing up talking about the games that we have been playing, and so we were talking when we were trying to come up with a topic for the show before, and obviously it's been a little bit of time since we've been on. Both of us had, all 3 of us, I think, for November, just crazy schedules. Things just couldn't work out. So we were going to originally talk about like fall-themed games. Well, around here it went from fall, then a couple days it felt like summer again, and then today it's like winter. And with holidays coming, we had Thanksgiving, we have Christmas now. We thought a more appropriate topic would be to talk about, recommend some games that you could play with your non-gaming family or non-gaming friends that come over for the holidays. So I believe that Tim Norris suggested this topic, so we decided to roll with it. So we're going to start off with Tim the Dad, and we are going to find out what are some of the games that he recommends that you could bring to the table to play with your family or friends during the holiday season, or at any time if you have company over. So Tim the Dad, take it away.
Okay, so I've got a few here. Some of these we've talked about briefly, but I think these will go over pretty well with non-gamers. First I want to talk about is Bemused from Devious Weasel. This is a game that we picked up at Gen Con. If you watched our Gen Con wrap-up, we talked about this. This is kind of a party type of game where you are going to have kind of a secret feeling towards somebody else, and you may want to cause them dread. You may want to have them, you may want to try to help them out so that they don't die, or you may hate them and you want to kill them. But the best part of this game is the insults that fly. When we played this at Gen Con in our little after hours playtime we had one guy throwing down something on a musician, and we came up with this song, "Doe a deer, your music sucks," and that's kind of stuck with this game. So this is a lot of fun. It should be easy to pick up, but definitely want to check this out. Another game I got is kind of a party game. It is Werewords from Bezier. Now, this game is going to be played with an app, and the app is going to be nice and loud, and that's going to get people excited. Basically, it's kind of like Werewolf, where you are going to try to get people to either guess what word it is that you have, or if you happen to be the werewolf, you don't want them to. This has been, I think, a big hit at the conventions this year, like Origins and Gen Con. Plays a lot of people, so this would be definitely one to play at your holiday gathering. Here's a new one that came out right around Essen time. It's Harvest from Tasty Minstrel Games. Now, this is a little step up from the lighter fare that I was just talking about, but this is still pretty light. Can introduce players to a couple of, it's a worker placement, so it kind of is a good introductory to that. It's real easy to play, real easy to learn, so you might want to check this one out. And then finally, one that we were just talking about a while ago is the Quest for El Dorado. Now, this is kind of a deck building game with basically you're racing through the jungle, trying to get through deserts and jungle and over water to find the lost city of gold, El Dorado. It's a very good gateway type of game. I would say that it's probably maybe about the same weight as Ticket to Ride. Very easy to learn, very easy to teach. Plays fast. It's got a bunch of modular boards that you put together, so tons of replayability. There's even extra boards, so you can basically adjust it to whatever length of type of game that you want. Each board is double-sided as well, so tons of replayability there. So what about you, Tim?
I've got 3 of them here, and the first one I got is Codename Pictures, and there's like 1 million Codename games out now, but I like the Pictures one the best because you're not having to try to relate words. You get to try to do pictures, and if you're not familiar with how this game works, what you're trying to do is you're trying to direct all the pictures will be face up like this, and what you're trying to do is to get your partner to try to guess where your what are these called? Spies, I believe they're spies, where they're located at on the grid by giving them clues. And what you want to try to do is get them to try to turn over multiple ones in one turn. So, you could say like, I don't know, carrot 3, and hope that they figure out, what you're talking about based upon the grid of the tiles. But I played this with my sister and her family last Christmas, and they're not real not real big in board games, and they really liked it a lot. They liked it a lot better than Splendor, which I brought that as well. And I didn't actually put Splendor into this video just because Codenames went over so well. King Domino. Of course, we have Queen Domino now, but I think King Domino is more of the lighter version of that. Yeah, right there, Tim. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a great tile laying game. And in fact, I was a hair's breadth away from choosing Carcassonne, but I really like King Domino just a tad bit better because it's a little bit more inviting with the thicker tiles and the colors and everything. And the rules, I think, are a little bit easier to teach than what they are in Carcassonne. And I think it keeps your interest a little bit more in King Domino 2 versus Carcassonne, where you're just kind of going for points, whereas King Domino, you're kind of building the town. And I don't know, it just keeps people's attention span a little bit better. And last but not least, I got Hey. It's more like, hey, that's my fish. And this is the Mayfair edition. And I like this one a lot better because it actually comes with big chunky penguins. They're big plastic ones instead of the wooden ones or anything. So I don't know if you're familiar with the way Hey That's My Fish works, but basically these are all fish tiles that are laid down here. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to move your penguins from one fish tile to another, and basically whoever collects the most fish, because whichever tile your penguin lands on, you collect that tile after it moves. And whoever has the most fish ends up winning the game. But this was one that I've had for years. In fact, I bought this, I believe, my first Gen Con. My daughter was just a little bitty girl, and we sat down and played, and she liked it so much that I've had it ever since. So,
nice.
How about you, Dave?
Let's see. Well, this first one here that I want to mention, you actually may have this one already in your closet. Scotland Yard. Actually, this particular version, this is like from 1983. This was one of the first real board games that I ever owned back when I was a kid. I don't know whatever happened to my original copy. I picked this up a few years back on eBay, but this is a great hidden identity game. Games that have inspired Letters from Whitechapel, Fury of Dracula, the new Hunt for the Ring that's coming up. All about in this game, what you're trying to do is one person is playing Mr. Jack, he's playing Mr. X. I'm sorry, not Mr. Jack, Mr. X. He's trying to remain hidden and escape the city and elude all the bobbies from Scotland Yard. So this is an older version. You may actually see it looking like on a game shelf, may look like this. So Scotland Yard is a quick mention. Another one that's gone over really, really well, Las Vegas. And if you're in the United States at Target stores now, it's just called Vegas, the dice game, and it comes in a big cube. They actually had it on there like Black Friday and other sales for $10. This game is just it's a dice chucker where you've got these different casinos out. Actually, it looks like this. There's different casinos out, and players are going to roll their dice and assign them to the different casinos, trying to have the majority of dice. And whoever has the most will start taking all the money cards. So all the different casinos have worth a bunch of money. Super, super fun, super easy. Plays, I think, 6 players with the base game, and then they do have an expansion that you'd have to import. But you can play up to 8 people. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, the expansion's called Boulevard.
Yes.
I don't have it, but I do have Las Vegas, and that was a while back one of our lunchtime favorites. So good pick there, Dave.
Yeah, and then one other one, this is kind of an interesting one, is the game Metro. And right now, actually I got this one, I picked up this particular version off of the Fantasy Flight holiday game sale for $10. This was a nominee for the Spiel des Jahres back in 2000. And in this, it's a tile laying game. And depending upon the number of players, you have your little subway trains. And you're trying on the board. You're laying out tiles, and you're making this crazy maze. It kind of looks like either Suro or a game that you like, Tim. Both of you, Tim's Whistle Stop. The game Whistle Stop. It's kind of like that. And what you're trying to do is you're placing these tiles, and you're trying to create a long route. And you either bring it into the center to score double points or close it into another station, and you score points for how long it is. So it's really just it's more of a puzzle, really kind of a spatial game, but really, really simple to play. So that's Metro. So those were some of the games that I recommend for your holiday pleasure. So yeah, those are the different things. If you guys who are joining us live and stuff, why don't you put in there, keep the conversation going. What are some of the games that you guys suggest for the holiday season? And also, if you're watching this game later on, leave a note in the comments. We'd like to see what you guys are going to want to play with your non-gaming friends and family. So anything, you guys got anything else on that for gaming with non-gamers?
Yeah, one of the honorable mentions, I don't actually own the game. I've got several friends that do. And it's out of print now, and that's Camel Up. That's been a lot of fun. That's one I think it's very accessible to everybody, especially non-gamers. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. We've got a video that Megan and I did on it a while back, but it's a lot of fun. It accommodates a large number of people, I think up to 8 or 10. So definitely a good one to pick up for the holidays if you can find it. There's sure plenty of ones that are on BGG Marketplace, or maybe you can even trade for it.
If you can't find Camel Up, the Camel Up cards, the Camel Up the card game is a very, very comparable. You can pick that up, and it has a little more customization on the board, but it's same concept of betting on the camels as they're moving along. Instead of using the dice, though, players actually seed the deck, and they're drawing cards from a deck, and they're seeing which move. So the players have a little bit more control, eliminates some randomness. But very much, if you can't find Camel Up, go with Camel Up cards. It's in a smaller box, too. Tim, you got any other honorable mentions?
No, I think that pretty well covers it.
All right. And I see some of the comments coming in. We've got the Grizzled and Dixit, Hanabi, and Spyfall are mentioned as some games to play with your non-gamer friends. Spyfall will actually be really good with the interviews, trying to answer the questions. And Dixit was one that I was thinking about bringing out. That one, you can see how twisted and warped your friends' brains are looking at all the abstract, surreal photos. Stuff.
Dave, I think I speak for all of us. None of us want to see your Dixit.
Okay, I'm not gonna whip out the Dixit. Anyways, so we've talked about the games that we recommended. Now let's get into our review, our group review for this particular session, and you can see right here the thing, Infection at Outpost 31. This one, we've all had a chance to play them. Tim Norris, why don't you talk to us about the game first, seeing that this is based upon your favorite movie?
Well, it's obviously, you got hidden roles. There'll be 3 total acts in the game. Well, technically 4 total acts in the game. And during the first act, what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect rope and also destroy one of the smaller versions of the thing. And once you do that, then you're able to progress to the second act. And you're trying to collect dynamite and destroy one of the smaller things. Then again, you go to the third act, which then you're having to collect a flamethrower and destroy 2 of the larger things. After that, it's the fourth act, which is just the escape. Now, the interesting portion of this game is that one person at the very beginning of the game will be an imitation. Everybody else will be human. So during the first act, one person is already infected and is not who they claim they be. Once you get into the second act, you will have a guaranteed 2, possibly 3 players that'll be infected. And in the third act, 3 players, well, it'll still be 2, possibly 3 that'll be infected. The thing will win the game if they're able to destroy enough rooms. Basically, they're just able to destroy the compound, which would freeze all the humans. And then, of course, if you're familiar with the movie, the creature was more than happy to freeze because it knew that if it could stay out in the elements and freeze, that it would eventually be found by somebody during a rescue team. And then, of course, then it could go into the populace and hopefully infect the populace. The other thing that the way you could win is if you can get one, if you're infected or you're an imitation, if you can be chosen to go onto the helicopter as one of the members. Pick me. Yeah, you get picked a lot, don't you, buddy? The game can also end if you fail too many missions. So if it fails too many missions, which will thus destroy rooms, or you get onto the chopper, that's the way the thing. The humans win by the thing avoiding letting them onto the chopper, or avoid taking them onto missions to acquire the essential items that you need to be able to win the game. It's very much like the Resistance, where you have to be very astute and pay attention to who is around you and what they're doing, the actions that they're performing, because during each act, these missions basically are like, hey, we're going to go into this room, we're going to turn over a tile, hopefully it's the tile we need. However, we need a certain amount of cards to be played for us to be able to acquire it, and then everybody contributes cards. Well, if you're an imitation, you're going to contribute sabotages. Or if you're a smart imitation, you just stay hidden and you just play along and just play as a good imitation until you get chosen to go onto the chopper, and then you eat everybody. But anyways, that's kind of the gist of the game. If you're familiar with the Resistance, this game, man, super easy to pick up on.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things in the thing is the distribution of the different characters that each of the, it's there are different class of, like, you have like mechanics or engineers or communication people. They have different colors. So you've got like green ones and blue ones and yellow ones. And the players all have to go around. Well, as you draw mission cards, the mission requirements will have, they'll say what characters that you have to take along with. And so sometimes you may be suspicious of somebody and you're like, I got to take them with. Well, you don't actually have to, because somebody can choose to tie them up and choose to leave them behind. But and that would just become a penalty for the captain, because the captain has some benefits of when they receive cards, they can actually do swaps to try and get better things out, or if they're an imitation, to try and bring some bad things in. But I found it was interesting that because of the characters, it makes a little bit more tension, because you're like, I don't know if I really trust this guy enough, but I'm like, I have to take him, so let's see what happens. And that was one of the neat, I found that to be one of the neat elements in the game.
Yeah, and just kind of throwing this out there, I am always the most trustworthy player in this thing. I'm always going to help you win.
Hey, you played everything out fine in our games that we played. So do we want to roll into the review portion now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's start talking about some. Let's talk about any negatives that we have in the game first. So, Tim, the dad, any negatives that you have in the thing?
I don't know. I can't think of anything about this that I don't like. I like kind of how everything works together, so I really don't have any negatives. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think there's some things that can be addressed. This is a game where you really got to have the right people to play the game. And what I mean by that is that you have to understand this is a social deduction game, which means that as you're sitting there playing this, there's going to be moments where people are going to make accusations that maybe are true or maybe they're not true, and they're going to take their time to talk through each mission before they decide whom they want to choose to go on that mission. If you're someone like me, I can be very loud, I can be very boisterous. That can be very distracting to other players, and I purposefully play that way at times if it's towards my agenda. So that's something to take into consideration, is that when you're playing a game like this, you have to understand that this is not going to be a quick game. This is going to be a game full of all kinds of variability. You could be a human the whole time, and people just are not going to choose you because they just don't trust you, and you're just going to have to accept this. The other thing that I could think can be construed as a negative is that if you are infected early on, you may never even care about destroying the complex. You may not even care about trying to win in any other way outside of just being the good, alien and get chosen to go onto the chopper. I think that that's a tiny flaw in this game, is that really the thing does have the advantage in that really you could just play along the entire game and really, so what, I'm helping you, so what? I got chosen, you lose, I win now. And I think that's something that really needs to be covered, and why it's got to be played so smart by the human players, and it's super difficult to try to achieve a victory for humans, even though it is possible. Go ahead, what do you think, Dave?
Okay, well, I'm going to agree with you about you have to play with the right group of people, because we had an experience playing the game where we had somebody who likes to play quick games, and I think is a little thin-skinned when it came to accusations, because what happened as a result was the player basically threw the game, who was a human, and decided to throw in sabotage cards to help the imitations to end the game. And so that kind of ruined the experience for some other people who were first-time players, and it just it started to get a little heated. There were some words exchanged at the end of the game and stuff, and so I realized there that I have to be really cautious about any kind of these hidden traitor games that I'm going to bring to a group, because I don't need to have a big fallout over a silly game. So I will agree with you on that. My major complaint with this is the rules are not. Maybe it takes a few times to go through, but it's like it's taken me a few times to actually like clarify things and find some stuff out. I just looked in the rule book now, and I was wondering about the equipment, like the rope and the dynamite and stuff, and who gets it. And I actually found out that if the mission is successful, the captain takes that gear and puts it in front of themselves, whereas before we just had the stuff put out in and made it like communal property. And so we were playing a game where one of the people was an imitation, and he's like, I'm just going to take the rope, tie somebody up. I'm just going to take the flamethrower and do something with somebody. And they kept spoiling all the goodies, which is kind of fine because it made it interesting for them. They kept sabotaging us, and we knew who they were. It got them involved, but it just seemed like some of the rule book could have been a little bit clearer on some things. There was some things that were kind of vague, in my opinion, on that. Other than that, Just the only negative would be that it's kind of crowd specific. You're going to want to play with the right type of crowd.
Yeah,
So.
and I think that's not a fault of the game. That's you having to know who you're inviting to the table on that. The game itself, I think, is fine. When you get the right people to play it, it is a joy.
It's because people like you and me, I mean, we have a great time with this because we understand. I think all three of us, we know what we're going into. We want to just sit down and we want to have fun. But some people are very cerebral about their decisions, and they believe that a game like this does come down to logical decisions. And unfortunately, because of that, what it does is it really does spoil just the adventurous part of it, the spontaneous, just fun nature of the game. And now it's become, this deal where they feel like they have to solve the puzzle when really there isn't a puzzle. It's just let's sit down and play and have a good time,
Right. So
I just wouldn't I wouldn't call that a negative on the game though. That's a group negative, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
No,
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't consider it as a negative on the game either. I would just saying that I guess it would be like one negative in general for this type of game would be it's kind of crowd specific. One of our viewers says that the character miniatures, they're not very clear, and you have to look in the rule book to see what mini goes with what because they don't really show it on the little player card. That would have been nice. That would have been a nice thing to have. So, and it kept time playing like, okay, which one are you? Which one are you? Which one are you again? So not knowing who the minis are made it a little bit confusing. Positives. We'll start with Tim the Dad.
Well, for me, I've won a majority of the games that I've been in, but each time I've started off as human, and then by the second round, I become infected. And kind of what Tim Norris was saying earlier, I basically played the game straight. I played as if I was a human. I gained the trust of everyone around me. I was invited onto the helicopter. And then I pretty much just said, guess what, guys? Imitation's just won. So I guess the difficulty it is for the humans to win, I guess I would like to see that as being a little bit more balanced because I think it is easier as the infected, just playing it straight and making sure that you're one of those invited on the helicopter. The other thing that I really liked about it was it doesn't matter if everybody knows one of the infected. In 2 games that I've played recently, well, Tim was one of the infected, and he pretty much let it be known right off the bat.
No. I waited till the second act.
That's true. You did.
I did.
But you were, if anybody was watching what you were doing or even listening to what you were saying, they would know that you were basically just laughing in their face. But the problem was they had to take you because there were certain missions where you needed 2 maintenance guys. There were only 2 in the game, and you were one of them.
It was the damnedest thing, too. We didn't successfully get through those missions. I don't know what went wrong.
Well, like I said, you were saying, wait, I can help you. And then you're throwing it card down. It's like, well, I threw that card. Well, no, you didn't. We all knew you didn't. And the funny thing about that is you were calling me out because I was calling you out, and you didn't know that I was infected. So that actually, I think, made my position more believable that I was human.
Oh, yeah.
And it was great. But I like the fact that you're taking turns being the captain of the missions. You're selecting people. You can be devious. You can really get into the character. We kept saying that you were the bad Tim Norris because you were clearly putting yourself out there, and I was the character Norris. And with my name being Tim, I said, "Oh, I'm the good Tim Norris." And really, I was the worst Tim Norris. That but did I lose everybody? Am I still
on here?
Yeah. Or we lose Tim? I think we lost Tim.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
He's still alive. We're good.
No, but just the thing that makes the game so much fun, I think, is just what develops around the table. The interaction that you're having with other players. The trying to cast doubt on other players, trying to lie convincingly, which I don't think I do very well. But the game that we played recently at Dave's house, I think I had a pretty good poker face. So that just makes the experience so much better. And then when we played it at Chris's house over Thanksgiving, I actually was not infected, and people thought I was based on my prior plays of the game, just because they'd heard the stories. So, people were blood testing me and making sure that I wasn't the bad guy. So, the game plays roughly 2 hours or so. And if you have the right group and everybody embraces it, it is so much fun. In fact, this has become my #1 hidden trader game. It is easily within my top 5 games of the year. So, and when I got to demo it at Gen Con, because I was one of the infected, they gave me a little button. And I think every time I want to play the game now, I want to just put the button on. So just put it out there on Front Street. Hey,
even if he's human, I think that Tim secretly just has this desire to be infected in general. So,
well, I tell you what, when I play this game, I do. I find it so much more fun because I'm sitting there with a hand of cards and I'm like, I've got a sabotage card. Do I want to throw that, or I want to just keep playing it straight? Well, I'm trying to figure out who else is on the mission that I really suspect is being a fellow infected, and I might throw one out there, knowing that the suspicion is already on them, and I can still kind of manipulate things. In fact, the game I think I played at your house, Dave, I think the last mission or two I did start throwing sabotage cards, but still everybody trusted me. In fact, they trusted me so much they made me the commander to choose who got to go on the helicopter. And thinking back, I should have what was his name? Kyle, I think, who chose me. I told him, I said, Kyle, I said, because you put your faith in me, I'm going to let you take your dad. Because I don't want
Nick?
No, you got it. No, listen, what made this so good, Nick chose you, all right? And you immediately, you patted him on the back and you said, well, all right, buddy. Well, just so you know, I'll take you with me. I choose you as my first person. Mind you, the whole time, Tim knows he's infected. He knows he's an imitation. This is what makes this brilliant. And he kept a straight face and selected all of the people to go on the helicopter with him. But what made this so good is he pats Nick on the back and he goes, you come along with me, buddy. You're the first person with me. And then he goes, and I don't want you to cry, so bring your dad along too. And he chooses his dad as the next person to get on the helicopter. And the whole time he knows that he's infected, and it was phenomenal. It was the ultimate betrayal.
So what I should have done is, after I picked those two, I still had 2 more to pick to go in the helicopter.
You should have picked me, bro. Yeah, you should have picked me.
Come with me.
Yeah.
But it was funny because when we did our big reveal on whether we were human or infected, I waited to go last, and everybody's throwing down their human cards. Hey, we won! We're gonna win! Everybody in there gets to me, and I'm like, ooh, oops.
It was so amazing, man. It was so funny. I loved it. Yeah.
I have to say that is probably the best or the most fun I had of playing the thing.
Yeah, and that was when I was infected right off of the bat. I was an imitation in Act 1. So we got all the way through Act 1 without me exposing myself to anybody. But once we got into Act 2, we had already failed on a couple of things, and it was starting to look like I could possibly pull out a win by just destroying the base. That is when you were actually captain at that moment, and you had chosen me to go on because I told you I had the axe. And I said, yeah, I've got the axe. I've got the axe. Well, of course, I threw in a Petri dish instead, which was something that we didn't need. So there was no axe. And then you're like, I told you to throw in the axe. And I said, no, you told me Petri dish. You told me. And we were playing that little game. But everybody kind of knew at that moment I was most likely an imitation. But I was still chosen on a couple of other missions even before, because people were still not 100% sure. And once it became super obvious, that's when I became like this loudmouth distraction, because I wanted everybody to know, yeah, of course I'm an imitation, but I didn't come right out and say that. But at the same time, I wanted everybody to just not pay attention to the other possible imitations that were out there playing the game so that they could possibly sabotage more. But ultimately, it came down to the third act. Well, actually, the fourth act, where you ended up getting infected in the third act, and you ended up getting on the chopper with them and winning the game. But man, it was a hair's breadth away from us destroying that base, though, because we only needed to destroy one more room. So it was super close. A lot of fun.
And that was why I was throwing those sabotages there at the end, because there was still plenty of doubt towards other players, and so nobody was really suspecting that I was the one that was throwing those as well. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But no, this is definitely, like I said, one of my top 5 games of the year. So I highly recommend it. So Tim, I'm assuming you highly recommend it as well.
Well, I'm not usually a huge fan of the hidden role or the hidden betrayer and all that stuff. I did not like Dead of Winter. Did not enjoy that one. But that one's a different type of hidden role style game. That's more about trying to, gather the resources and stuff like that. This one's more along the lines of Resistance, or I've never played Battlestar Galactica, but I'd imagine it's some familiar with that as well. With social deduction games, like I said, it does take the right group. Sheriff of Nottingham was ruined for me because, unfortunately, I played with somebody that just was too cerebral about it and just couldn't make up their mind and just kind of ruined that game. And I realized, wow, some people are just no fun. But when you get the right people together, this game just comes to life. And I really do think that it's a game that you need all 8 players. It starts to become a little bit more confusing. People can hide a little bit better. And you can also have moments where, everybody, is just throwing around these accusations, and it just becomes so stinking fun. I do think the game is slanted towards the imitations to be able to try to pull out a victory. But at the same time, I do believe I need more games under my belt, because I believe the flamethrower is probably the most important tool that you could pick up. And I do think the flamethrower needs to be available all the way from Act 1 to be able to try to pick up, so that you can do more blood tests to be able to find out who are the imitations and who are the real the real humans. So if you're playing as a human, if you can't figure out who the imitations are, at least 2 by the time Act 3 starts, you most likely are going to lose this game. And because if you can't figure out at least 2 of them, there's a third one that's most likely going to be added, and then it just becomes absolutely impossible for you to be able to pull this game out. So, and then once again, the third person could still get infected in the third act, and all they do is just play along and get on the chopper. So I don't know, man. It's a tough game. It's one of those ones, I really think the flamethrower needs to be available from Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Be doing blood tests. So outside of that, super fun, super thematic. My favorite horror film of all time, and I really think they did a bang-up job of creating the right type of, schizophrenic atmosphere that you need for this game to work. How about you, Dave?
So, let me talk about some positives, and I'll get my thoughts in there too. There's a couple things that that I like in the game, and that is I like the events that come out. They add extra tension, like the rooms. You're trying to figure out the missions and trying to do things, but all of a sudden you have things that come up, like power outage, or a room starts on fire. You've got smoke and stuff like that, and you have to deal with those things. It just adds a little extra layer of tension to the game. I also like the fact that you're starting off guaranteed somebody is infected and is an imitation. And unlike Battlestar Galactica, there could be no Cylons the first portion of the game, so you're not doing anything. This one automatically starts the game off with that tension of knowing, okay, there is a traitor among us, and that's one of the things that I like about the game a lot. I also will say I've only played the game with the higher player counts. I've played it with 7 and 8. That's the best way to play. I think that the more the merrier in this game, because you have the possibility of having more infected, and actually that's the best part of the game, is trying to figure out who it is. Trying to think of what else I like about the game. I like it. I like it quite a bit. I like the fact that I think that of all of the hidden trader games that I've played, this is probably the most approachable and the easiest one. You could actually teach a non-gamer to play the thing easier than you can teach them to play any of the other ones that are out there. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that one, but I think that that is probably a pretty fair assessment on that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, but my thoughts, kind of going into my final thoughts on this game, overall, I really enjoyed the games that I've had so far. I do have, there are a couple things that can make the experience not so great, and that's all the missions are based upon the luck of the draw of the cards. You could have a couple of things where you just have, we were playing one, we had no events showing up. There was nothing going on except mission after mission after mission. And so things were progressing very quickly. And then it started to slow down. But you could have other times where you could just have an event and another event and another event, and things could go bad really, really quickly. So the game has that kind of swinginess to it. You may like it, you may not like it that way. The other thing is, like I said, the rule book, there needs to be a little bit of some clarifications on there. But overall, I enjoyed this one. For me, this instantly replaced Dark Moon. In fact, when my copy of the thing showed up, the next day I had donated some games to a charity, and I go, hey, you want Dark Moon? And I threw it in the box. So completely replaced that. After playing the thing, I have no need to play Dead of Winter. I have no need to play Battlestar Galactica. I have no need to play Dark Moon. If I'm playing a hidden trader game, I'm playing the thing. That's my final word on that one. How about you guys? Yeah. Final word on that.
I would agree. This totally replaced Dark Moon for me. There is one other hidden trader game that I like that I will keep, and that's Shadows over Camelot, just because you may or may not have a trader that comes up in that game. And the game plays a lot different as well. But no, this, like you said, this definitely is my all-time favorite hidden trader game right now. And if you want to see what all the components look like, I just published on our channel an unboxing, and I'll have my review, although I've kind of spoiled it here. But we'll be doing a review show on that probably within the next couple of weeks, definitely before the end of the year. Tim, go ahead and take it.
Yeah, for me, given the fact that, it is my favorite, horror film of all time, it's going to end up in my collection. Both you gentlemen have it, so it's going to end up being in mine as well at some point in time. I haven't picked it up yet, but it'll get there eventually, just because I like to have, I've got the Big Trouble in Little China deck builder, just because I love that movie. And I'll get the thing as well, just because, well, I love that movie. So there you have it. Plus, it's an awful lot of fun.
So, all right. Well, as we bring this session to a close, we are getting closer to Christmas, and I'm kind of hoping that we will have one more episode in before the end of the year. So I guess maybe we can discuss this real quick. You guys want to talk about for the next session some of our favorite games? I was thinking about doing favorites, flops, and fizzles. Basically, some of the games that are our favorite games, some of the ones that didn't do it for us, and then some of the ones that we played, we may have liked before, but have just kind of lost interest, the fizzles. What do you guys think of that? Maybe we do that for our fans for the last episode for the year.
We can wrap up 2017 with our 2017 games that did that. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's what we'll talk about. 27 games of 2017. Favorites, flops, and fizzles.
There you go, man.
So, all right. Well, as we wrap this up, I want to thank all of you for watching the show and participating with us in the live chat while the show went on. And we will be able to join with you guys one more time for this year, and then we'll be heading into 2018. We'll have plenty more content to be coming for you guys. All right, so why don't we all say our goodbyes, and we will sign off. We'll start with Tim the Dad.
All right, I will catch you guys next time.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we will see you, and we'll catch you before it, but Merry Christmas in advance, and enjoy the season. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.